Hello everyone, and welcome back to our playthrough of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. This is a slight departure from how we normally do the videos, which consists of me going about and doing random things and adding what I hope is fulfilling commentary to cover each section. But for whatever reason, my recording software continues to be kind of a douchebag and not help me record adequately. And on top of all that, this entire section I saw as not very interesting, and when we get to the temple, you'll see I don't have any of my original commentary over it, not just because the audio got thoroughly desynced beyond recognition, and it wouldn't have made sense to do anyway. But yeah, so this is all post-commentary, and I will be at various points inserting something that I find thoroughly interesting and always have about this part of the game especially, and that is sort of the story of the stone tower and really all of Icona in general. Basically, the way this getting up the temple works, by the way, this was a pain to have to keep doing. You have to play the Elegy of Emptiness on each individual switch in a particular order in order to have these switches be held down so that the blocks can basically be taken to where they need to be in order for you to progress. Now, I was gazing at the individual statues earlier, noticing, because they're kind of infamous for being super creepy, the reason that I think Link's statue looks the way it does is predominantly because it was apparently a caricature of Shigeru Miyamoto, you know, kind of a big name at Nintendo. So I think that's why it looks as odd as it does. Not that Shigeru's an odd-looking guy, but trying to translate that into a video game probably wasn't the best method Nintendo could have done. But whatever. Now, the other two, the Goron Link and Zora Link, both look like caricatures of basically the forms that Link took them from. So the Goron Link looks like Darmani. By the way, I'm sorry if this is really hard to look at, you know, but I had to speed it up, so there you go. The Goron Link is Darmani, and the Zora Link is Mikau, basically. That's why they have, like, a stoic-looking figure for the Goron, because Darmani was, and why they have a guitar for the Zora, because Mikau. Deku Link is inexplicable, though. It's just a random sad Deku, and that's predominantly because we'll never use it because it's worthless. Now, if we take a gaze at this opening face here, it's pretty odd-looking, and in some ways it's even a little scary, I would say. Its eyes are on fire. Its mouth is gaping open with its tongue sticking out. Got the three blocks there in the middle, which all represent something. And of course, the hand on the right, thanks for showing that, the hand on the right that has its finger lit on fire, pointing upwards. Symbolic in the way of where it's pointing and who it's aimed at. Throughout the entire Stone Tower Temple, there's nothing really of note to say. So probably what I'm going to be doing is sort of inserting the legend as I go. The entire opening sequence here, though, is the perfect one to start with. If you notice on each of these statues, on the sides, it looks like someone's trapped inside them. I know it's going fast, but if you want to get a better view of it, you could probably do a Google search. And on the front is a face with its tongue sticking out. And I don't show it, but on the underside is basically its buttocks, and underneath that is a Triforce. Remember this for later. Now the opening, the mouth we just went inside, and the face is... The whole idea of Icona Canyon is that it is doomed from the start because of what they did to in the ancient times. Basically, they ended up... The goddesses of time are... or, you know, the goddesses who started Hyrule are kind of separate from Termina. in the way that instead of the goddesses, the people here usually worship the giants. And there's another thing we'll get to later that will further explain that, but for now just assume that, yeah, the giants. The main problem with this, with the people of Termina, is that they saw the goddesses as inferior to the giants that they worshipped. So if you know the story of the Tower of Babel, basically in biblical history, people built a temple to get up to heaven where God was, and in some interpretations they either try to destroy him or try to be with him. In the case of the parallel for this game, they try to build the tower up to where the goddesses are so that they can kill them because they worship the giants so much. And this is further indicated by the fact that, or this further emphasizes the way the statue looks at the beginning. The Triforce on the bottom, or the buttocks of the blocks, is basically derogatory towards the Triforce itself, because they're saying, oh, we don't care about your Triforce because we have our goddess, our giants. And effectively that's what the tower with the finger pointing upwards says. Basically, it's in another way derogatory, and anytime like a mouth is open and eyes are gaping wide and all that kind of stuff, it can basically be seen as that whole kind of, oh, we're basically being disrespectful to the goddesses. That's who it is each time. And throughout this temple, you'll notice, and not even just the temple, but on every area there are, predominantly just in the temples, but in other spots of the world also, there are images of Majora's Mask. And one would wonder why the land that is trying to get rid of this Skull Kid, in a way, who brought the Majora's Mask to them, supposedly, would so care about the Majora's Mask and like have it be on edifices all over the place. This we'll get to later, as the second half of the temple is really where that comes into focus. And by the way, at this point I kind of derped around for a while, thinking there was a chest in here, and there is, but for whatever reason I didn't find it. That's another reason why I'm doing post-commentary, is eventually I got, so frustrated looking around, and my commentary just turned into, oh god, where is it? And then eventually it became, wow, this is really embarrassing, I'm sorry guys, and yeah, I was just not too happy with it in general, so yeah, I don't know what I was thinking here. In terms of the temples, again, I mentioned earlier in the playthrough that Snowhead is one of the worst temples, and it still kind of is. If you can see Woodfall Temple as the easiest, which I think it is, Great Bay is the second hardest because it's not quite as difficult to traverse. I would say that Snowhead is the second hardest. Did I say that it was Great Bay was the second hardest? I meant third hardest if I said that. And this temple really can be the most frustrating, mainly for the second half of it. And I don't know if you guys know exactly what it is, but if you've played other Zelda games before, and you know that we've already gotten the fire arrow and the ice arrows in temples, it would kind of be self-explanatory what arrow or what our dungeon item in general is here, but nevertheless I will not reveal it. By the way, this is a terrible, terrible thing to have to do. A gimmick here is, of course, since we have the mirror shield, that light and other mirrors play a big part in it. And really, this is the only room, apart from another one, where it really matters, and the other room is arguably worse than this. But the idea here is you want to get it right where it's good, shine a light on the mirror for a long time, like hold it, so that gives you a lot of leeway to get to where you are once you need to shine it on another block, because that's basically what you have to do. In another room, you'll see it gets a little worse, but that's just the general idea, I've always thought. And there are switches to press in here. Oh, look! a chest is upside down on the ceiling. Makes you wonder how we'll get it. Yeah, I was gonna start mentioning that stuff already, but I realized I probably shouldn't because it's not very fair to those who don't know. And again, I apologize if this segment is not the best way to handle the things I, have been running into troubles with, but I don't know. By the way, this is the other room. It's important to have the Goron mask to get these statues out of the way, which I'm sure symbolize something, but whatever. There's whatever. And as you'll notice, there are those... Okay, there it is. The black things spawn. And they will easily distract you, and if you want to wait a long time like I do, you'll never be able to get them. But if you have the stone mask equipped, not only does it prevent you from getting hit by one of those, I don't even know what the hell they're called, but these guys will not see you either. Thus, they won't spawn. So, and when you do the thing on the side of the wall here, the wrong one makes a wall master drop down. If you have the stone mask, wall master can't see you. Stone mask, and I think I mentioned this a long time ago, has a lot of importance in this temple. I wouldn't really call it importance, but it does have a lot of usefulness. And this is the one I'm talking about, where not only do you have to shine light on this first mirror, see that second one over there? Yeah, you have to do that too. To get it in just the right spot, hold it for just the right amount of time, basically stay there the whole time, and then run over and get it on the other big sunblock. This is really hard to do, especially if you don't employ the stone mask, because it gets kinda difficult with the other guys fucking your shit up. And we have rupees here. And these guys. This room has the potential to be one of the worst, mainly because it's kind of puzzle-centric. You saw a switch back there that we have to hit as a Goron, and that, all the way on the other side, is our destination. Now, when you go throughout this, you basically have to roll really fast, and you can't hit any of the walls while you do it, so it's best to kind of line yourself up straight. But even then, it's still kind of hard to do. Yeah, it comes back very quickly. I was expecting, while I was playing through this part, for this to take, like, several tries, but thankfully it didn't. At one point I just knew, it's like, okay, yeah, that's not gonna work. But eventually we do get it. But this is not the worst part for some players, and for me the next part, actually getting through this room, does become kind of difficult. I wouldn't even really say difficult, it'd be more of awkward, I would say. The reason is because now the entire gimmick is we have to go through the entire room as a Deku, which we get rupees and a fairy, so it doesn't matter, but still, if you get mispositioned at any point, it's going to be awful to try to make it to each different one. And there's a bomb chew, which is very easy to run into, but we got lucky at that part. Oh, don't worry, he'll still make his way over to us. I remember just hearing it and being like, oh my god, can he not go in the lava and just die? It's like, nope, have to spawn. Yeah, that's it for the fairies in that room, and now a boss fight. Yeah, remember the Garrows we have fought before? Well, this is their... king? Yeah. Or the master, whatever. And he's not too difficult. He kind of disappears, but that just requires moving quickly. Since we have the best sword, it's not that hard. Basically, he mentions something very important, but it's basically that this treasure distorts the temple in a way. And we'll get into that next segment and more of the legend, so yeah.